Welcome to another edition of the 186Kloud show. A set of supplier interviews where we get to hear and understand what's hot and not so hot, what's new and trending, plus what might matter as you look to the technologies and vendors that could make a positive impact on your business. So join us on this week's 186Kloud show as we spend time with our best-of-class unified communications and contact center in the cloud supplier 8x8 on another edition of Series 1 straight out of the office.
Well, hello and welcome to another edition of the 186Kloud show. In this first series that we're calling Straight Out of the Office. Straight out of the office because in this last year we've all been thrust from being centrally based within offices wherever they're located to now wherever we're located, and that could be working from anywhere. And in this series, Straight Out of the Office, we're talking to our beloved vendor community, learning about their technologies, their services, and how they've helped their customers, their community pivot from being central office based to this new world of working from anywhere. Today's show, we are privileged and honoured to have in our company Sean Blackmore of 8x8. Now, in a moment I'm going to hand over to Sean and ask him to introduce ourselves and tell us a bit about 8x8. But 8x8 are, from our perspective, are one of our valued unified communication as a service supplier stroke vendor partners, or UCAS as we call it. And that's what today's show is going to be around, talking about UCAS and 8x8. So on that note, let me hand over to Sean. Sean, it's a privilege and honour to have you on the show. If you can, tell us a bit more about Sean Blackmore and why you joined 8x8. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for having me, Stephen. What an introduction. So, hello, I'm Sean Blackmore. I'm Regional Channel Director for 8x8 in EMEA, and I look after the Master Agent and Distribution channel. So I work with our channel partners to identify customers who require 8x8 services. As you rightly said, Stephen, the customers that require 8x8 services have grown, right? The shift from telecoms, on-premise telecoms, to the software as a service market, that's definitely sort of been accelerated by the COVID pandemic. So I've been around sort of the telecoms industry and the software as a service industry for a little while, and this shift from on-premise to off-premise has really benefited everyone. It means that my customers, so channel partners, are able to service their customers better. They provide a more agile product. It's got better features. It's constantly updated, and also means that the end user, so the customer, gets a better product. So they are literally sometimes spending less money for an ever-evolving, better product. So, there's not many good things that have come from COVID, but I have to say the uptake of cloud technology and the benefit that it has for businesses and things like that, and the acceleration into cloud, if you're going to look at it in a positive light, that could be one of them. I've been at 8x8 for 3.5 years now, which makes me relatively tenured within the team. I've seen a lot of change both within 8x8 and the community in general. One of those changes has been I wouldn't call it a shift because it's still kind of ongoing, but the change of mentality between wholesale and the master agent model. So without going into too much detail, my customers, channel partners, would traditionally buy or consume our services on a wholesale basis. They buy a license, sell it to their customers for X amount, do all the service and procurement, etc., themselves. Whereas now we see a lot of partners going with master agents. So master agents, we work with 5 or 6 in the UK, meaning that we've got access to lots of different customers, which means that we get access to lots of different end users too. For this role, I looked after a really big dealer of 8x8. We grew that business to become the number 1 reseller for 8x8 in EMEA, and that's why I do this role currently. It's such a big opportunity for everyone involved in this channel, and 8x8 absolutely are one of the companies that are helping businesses make this transition into the cloud. It's a great opportunity.
Thank you. What a perfect introduction. And what a great plug for the master agent model, which actually I like to call what we do, to explain it in more detail. I say that we're relationship integrators, because the end user community that this series of interviews is aimed at is an audience that is often confused by the technologies and the vendors in the marketplace. And essentially what we do is we help demystify all of that. So we bring together the relationships that they need to be successful from a technology relationship, which obviously 8x8 are one of those vendors that we can take into those conversations. Before we get into a bit more about 8x8, I'm interested in a little bit more about Sean Blackmore. So before we do that, Sean, I've got a really kind of like an interesting question that I want to ask you, just so we learn a bit more about you. I call it the £1,000 question, not the $1,000 question, £1,000 question. So what I'm interested in is, if tomorrow you were to have deposit in your bank account £1,000 from a lottery win or something like that, so tax-free, what would you do with it? And I don't want to hear you tell me you'd have a party or you'd pay off your mortgage. Tell me something interesting so we learn about Sean Blackmore and your interests and ambitions.
It's a great question. £1,000.
Did I ask £1,000? My bad. £1 million, my friend. It's actually £1 million. Let's scrub that. It's £1 million. It's a serious sum of money that could be life-changing. That's what we want to hear.
$1 million. I could do a lot more with $1 million. Okay, that's a great question. I wish that was to happen. By the way, I'm going to steal that. Master agents are relationship integrators. What a brilliant way of putting it.
That's it.
So £1 million. So I guess with COVID, it's made everyone kind of realize what they enjoy, because they miss a lot of things. And for me, it's been travel, sports, and sort of going out and having food with friends, or, going out maybe to the pub or something like that. So what I'd spend that £1 million on, first thing would be travel. I love going to loads of different places. I like holidays. I love holidays, in fact. I could go backpacking for a couple of weeks or longer. And I went to Machu Picchu last 2 summers ago now. But I also love a fancy holiday sat on the beach and with a pina colada. And that's what I spend my money on so far in my life. It's been all my time and money goes on holidays and new experiences. So a lot of that £1 million would be seeing absolutely everywhere possible in the world. Second thing is sport. I love my sport. I miss playing and watching sport a lot. So there's so many things I'd like to do and see. I'd love to go to a Wimbledon final on centre court. I'd love to go to the cricket at the MCG in Australia, and tickets to, like some fancy tickets to a World Cup final, be it rugby or football. That would be, you can spend a lot of money on doing those things, and I'd eat into the $1 million, I think, with that. And then finally, I guess food. So again, it would take something pretty fancy to really make a dent into that $1 million. But probably my favourite thing to do when I'm in the UK is go out and eat food and be with friends. So the wild nights that we used to have are now transforming into sort of meals and stuff like that. It's really weird. But yeah, I'd definitely combine travel with food. So I guess what would I do? I'd probably head off to India for the food. Love my Indian food, and I play a lot of cricket. So it's a great place to explore. And I think £1 million would get you very far. And then probably my next stop would be over to Argentina. Amazing red wine, beautiful steaks, and fancy restaurants, and that would probably be second on the list. Then I'll just go on a year-long tour around the world, just eating my way around the world and come back a blob. And then the rest, I don't know how much I'd have, but regardless, I'd probably invest in 8x8 shares, because we're still criminally undervalued, and the best is yet to come. We've had quite a nice uptake recently, but there's still a long way to go. That's how I'd spend my $1 million.
I love that answer right at the end. I'm not so sure if you'd have enough money left for 8x8 shares, because it sounds to me like you've got some good plans in terms of spending it. But what we learned about Sean Blackmore is he'd be a good guy to have at the party. You sound like a live today, seize the day, enjoy life kind of person, which, and that's what I've learned about Sean before today anyway. So good to know. Let's turn now to the subject at hand, 8x8 and the pandemic. We know, go back to March last year, 2020, and that was when the pandemic really emerged in the UK, because all of a sudden the government was saying work at home, don't don't socialise with people, all that sort of stuff, take precautions. But from an 8x8 perspective, can you remember how you first experienced the pandemic? And I'm not talking about just necessarily socially, culturally within the organisation. I'm talking about in terms of how you engaged customers and what they were asking you to do, how they were asking you to help them.
Sure. So customer engagement, as in our end users that were using the product?
Yeah, definitely, that sort of thing. But also related to partners. Tell me a bit about what your engagement was with partners and their customers.
Okay, so I guess first of all, I can't even remember, sort of February, that's when the whispering started coming around. And we just sort of heard, well, actually we saw lots more people consuming the 8x8 product. So all of a sudden we're doing loads of deals. People are buying the product really, really quickly. And then we started, our support teams started hearing that people wanted to move to different licenses because these customers needed to move to work from home. So all of a sudden, they're going from, we've got 8 licenses, and X1 is a fairly simple product, communications product, and X8 is a fully fledged contact center solution. They're moving up the product brackets because they need to do more things at work. And we were kind of thinking, brilliant, okay, everyone's sort of adding on new licenses, they're getting more product, we're getting more money in the kitty. So we saw a massive uplift. And we thought, oh, this is quite positive. And it meant that the position that we're in being in the cloud communications market, it meant that we were in a prime position to sort of help address these issues that the customers and our prospective customers were sort of having. And then obviously the pandemic hit, and we saw a very brief dip in our usage. So people were scrambling and people were kind of going, right, what do we need to do? Like, people were talking about Teams. They started talking to their nan on the phone, on Zoom and stuff like that. So everyone's using all these different things. So what we did is we came up with this, I say we, I had absolutely nothing to do with it. The business had an idea to make sort of a light version of the 8x8 product available free of charge to customers. So we went from 100,000 users of our product on a monthly basis to 10 million users. So a huge uplift. So while everyone was sort of scrambling, we went, right, okay, here you go, this is available, it's free of charge. And we had schools in Italy using our, Italy was one of the first ones to get affected. They were using our product to educate kids. We had universities taking our product. We had businesses that when they shifted to sort of Teams or one of these other products, they realized they can't do everything that they need to without spending loads and loads of money. And then somebody or we have advertised to them and said, you need to talk to 8x8 and we'll be able to do this. You'll be able to do this. So it's a horrible thing, the COVID pandemic, and it's screwed up a lot of things for a lot of people. But we were in a position where we could help out these end users. And then on the channel side, there was a huge scramble for our channel partners to supply all these customers with the right solution. So look, it's not a positive at all outcome. I mean, look, the pandemic's an awful thing, but being in the industry that we are, we were there to help these to help these customers, and that's kind of how it's played out up until now. And hopefully things are starting to shift with the vaccinations and things like that. People are going to go back into the offices. They've used 8x8 and all of the similar products that are out there. All the different cloud UC and contact center providers, and the adoption to cloud will continue.
That's a really interesting answer. Really interesting, because at the end there you talked about moving back to the offices. So as the vaccine starts to roll out, as you said, and people become more ambitious in terms of venturing out again, and the government allows us to do this, I think the current state of play, the current status quo will change again, in that organisations will start to operate in a different way. if we look at the last year, it has been a challenge for them because a lot of them have got existing legacy systems that they haven't been ready to give up and change and move from a legacy system into a cloud system. But clearly that opportunity is there now as they're thinking about the future. For organizations that have, say, a legacy communications platform that they haven't necessarily been able to use over the last year because, let's say, it's an office-based PBX with handsets that today are still forwarding to mobiles, what would you say is the opportunity? What would you say would be the benefits that something like 8x8 could give them looking forward to the new way of work?
So 8x8, we're a provider of voice over IP products. So when I sort of have to explain it simply to my mom or something like that, or someone who says, what the hell's a UCAS? I just say, look, we do communications software for businesses. Quite simple. So anything to do with communications, basically, we can do it. So that means voice, so speaking to somebody on the phone. It means video. It means chat. So like something similar to Slack, I guess, and contact center. And also CPaaS, so content platform as a service solution. So basically, whenever my customers, so channel partners, are talking to end users, and there's a requirement for communications, that's when they call me up and they say, right, I've got an opportunity for you. And our products are really sort of transforming the future of business communications by providing a one-stop shop. That sounds a bit car salesman, but that literally is what it is. It's a one license, and you can get all of those different communications abilities, so voice, video, chat, contact center, and content platform as a service out of our product. And it's really, really unique. Nobody else can do that to the level that we do.
So, Sean, if you think about current environment where we're experiencing a third lockdown, right? But with this vaccine being rolled out, the future is brighter, and the future may mean that organizations may pivot once again from being solely home-based or predominantly home-based to now being based maybe in a hybrid environment where they've got some people working in the office, some people from home. Now, what I'm interested in understanding is if you've got an organization that is going to be going to that type of work, they've got a problem, and their problem is those in-office legacy systems that they were using, forwarding to mobiles in this current work-from-home environment, don't work now. So they need to have a solution in place in the future that works across both styles of operation, office, anywhere, because their people are more dispersed than they were before. What I'd really like to understand is how 8x8 can help those organizations think about work as a different challenge and a different way of operating. So let's maybe, before you get into that specifically, as a segue into that, tell us a bit about 8x8 and give us an overview of what 8x8 does.
Okay, so 8x8, we're a provider of voice over IP products. So when I've got to explain that simply to my mom or somebody who's not in the industry, sort of going, what the hell's a UCAS platform or a contact center platform, I say it's communications software for businesses. And that's it. It's anything to do with communications. That's what we do. We provide software to enable people to communicate with each other. And our products are really transforming the future of business communications. We enable people to work faster and also smarter. And our product is sort of made up of five pillars, I guess. So voice, video, chat, contact center, and CPaaS. So CPaaS is content platform as a service, which lots of businesses use at the moment, and lots of our channel partners are using as well. So voice being a standard call over the internet. So picking up a phone call via our app or on a PC application. Video, so similar to what we're doing now, making a video call with voice, and chat. So I think the most similar product to our chat function is Slack, the ability to share files, the ability to really collaborate with people, and also contact center. So the contact center leg to our platform was hugely popular at the beginning of COVID. It meant that somebody who, let's say you're in a 10-person contact center a small contact center in Reading, and all of a sudden COVID hits, and you're not able to then take the phone calls in the customer service department that you work in. What 8x8 was able to do is we could say, right, we'll upgrade your license from an office-based user to a user that can use their laptop or their mobile phone to take all these calls. So similar to how you would be in a traditional contact center. All they had to do was connect their computer to the internet, and away they go. They've got intelligent queuing and routing. They've got the analytics and everything that you expect from a contact center as a service platform. And that's it. So that's us as a business. All these products our partners confidently talk to their end users about. We're always channel first. So from our CEO over to the receptionist, we're all in on the channel. Everybody is behind my customers, our channel customers, which makes us really able to service lots and lots of businesses. And I've just spoken briefly about the 8 licenses. I've spoken about that before, but we've got 8 licenses. We call it the X series. So if you imagine an X1 license is a pretty simple phone system that lots of businesses use. They just want the ability to make and receive phone calls. And an X8 is a fully fledged contact center solution. We've got some of the most intelligent contact centers in the world using an X8 license. And then in between is everything else. So it's, you start going up here, you add on video, you add chat functionality, you add analytics, all these different things, compliant call recording. It's all in there. So everything you want to do with communications, we're able to help our businesses, help our customers with their needs. So I guess talking about moving from I can't believe we're talking about moving from home to the office. Usually it's the other way around, but you've absolutely hit the nail on the head, Stephen. I think it's not a necessary, people aren't talking about a work from home solution anymore. They're talking about an agile solution. They want the ability to, if they want, work from home, and if they want, go to the office. And that really is what 8x8 are able to provide. We've got a product called 8x8 Work that's sort of on that spectrum of X licenses that we've got, and that coupled with our contact center solution is, in my opinion, that's why I work for the business, is the best product somebody could buy or somebody could provide to their end users, to their customers, to satisfy basically every single communications requirement. So yeah, it should be 2021 should be interesting in more ways than one.
And I agree, but you know what I find interesting about 8x8, the proposition is that you don't have a single standard license, or you don't define licenses by organisation. You don't say to organisation, there's silver, bronze, silver, gold. You either have to have one or the other across the organisation. You're very much tailored to what are your group's requirement. If your group requirement needs lots of outgoing calls, then we've got, just in the UK, we've got a package for that. If your group requirement is lots of outgoing calls internationally, we've got a package for that. If your group requirement is the contact centre, we've got a package for that. So you can really tailor your product depending on how the organisation wants its experience of UC to be. And I really enjoy that. And I really do appreciate that, and I think the market appreciates this as well. But then there's another piece that I really want to talk about, because I've got an opinion on where this is going to go this year, because I think that there is let's call it the elephant in the room, that I think will drive the market for us all this year, and that's the people who own the desktop, Microsoft. I saw in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for the first time in this last year, top right hand corner, Microsoft appear. So they're up there as one of the UC players. Now, we in our world, we don't think of them as a UCAS player, do we? We think of them as a collaboration player, but clearly because they own the desktop, lots of customers from their perspective think of Teams. They think of Teams, rightly or wrongly, as a total collaboration solution. But and I'm going to give you the opportunity in the moment to say it's not. You might disagree with me, but there is. That's why I'm calling them the elephant in the room, because there needs to be a strategy for somebody like 8x8 to be able to integrate with Teams, because Teams, it is not a UCaaS solution. Tell us a bit about 8x8's approach to working with Microsoft and Microsoft Teams.
Okay, so I think I knew you were going to ask that question as well, by the way. I knew that was going to come. So Teams is in an enviable place, I think, at the moment, because, well, certainly in 2020, because everybody uses, most businesses use Microsoft, okay? And as soon as somebody has to work from home, they go, right, what's available to us? And Microsoft did this thing where they went, you can have Teams, you can communicate with your customers and with each other free of charge, and away you go. It's already there. It's built in. Just use it. They go, okay, cool, brilliant. Okay, let's everybody go home. And they realized they couldn't call certain numbers. They couldn't. That person who had to go to a remote part of Europe or something to go and see their family, all of a sudden they weren't able to access the company's records and make calls because Teams didn't have a presence there. And there's so many different reasons why Teams actually in the end wasn't a good UCaaS solution. But what they do have is a massive addressable market. But we've got documents, we've got tons of literature on why 8x8 on why Teams compared to 8x8 isn't a true UCaaS solution. But what we've got is a true UCaaS solution. So the opportunity for us there was to build an integration from the 8x8 unified communications platform into Microsoft Teams. So Teams, the huge addressable market, lots of people use it, but they want the functionality that comes with 8x8. That was feedback from our customers. They were like, look, everyone's using Teams. We want to use the 8x8 platform and product set. What can you do for us? So what we did is we built a really tight integration into Teams. So businesses are able to consume the Teams license. So they still use the Teams desktop application, but in the background, making the calls, with the extra sprinkling of unified communications, all the calls are actually delivered on 8x8. There's so all of a sudden there's no real change for businesses, from what they were doing before. They're still using Teams, but all of a sudden they've got a hell of a lot more functionality than they did before. And if I can sell to you just for a minute about 8x8 sort of strengths in the market, and you mentioned the Gartner Magic Quadrant. So yes, Microsoft Teams have the customer base, but 8x8 are the only business that operates in both the unified communication as a service and the contact center as a service market, and that's represented in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. So we can make video calls, we can integrate very easily because all of this product is built and operated by 8x8. But we've got some key differentiators as well. So the whole development stack, which is essential for development into things like Microsoft Teams, we own that. Okay, so we can service the markets like unified communications, contact center, and also the meeting solutions. Microsoft can't do that. We've got 30 years of experience in the unified communications and contact center game. Microsoft don't do that. It's like Ford Motor Company developing clothing. They haven't, it's new. They're sort of new in the marketplace. Yes, they've got lots of resource and they could probably do it if they wanted to, but it's not their pedigree. It's not what they've been doing for years and years. We've been doing it for 30 years. And we've also got over 200 patents awarded since the inception of our business. So these are, patented functionalities that only 8x8 can do. And I think for me anyway, the reason why most of my customers win deals and clients is the global network and the reach that 8x8 has. So we've got over 15 global data centers that supports over 150 countries. I don't think Microsoft Teams even can do half of that, to be honest with you. And that's all done through a patented solution called geo-routing. It means that we're able to optimize the call quality of our customers' calls, and automatically localize the environment without having to sort of manually provision the location. It means that you're going to break out of a pretty near to you data center, one of the 15, and that's guaranteed via a quality of service arrangement that we do before. So yes, we do integrate with Teams. Your customers or you, if you are an end user, can listen and speak to your customers through the Microsoft Teams platform. But we also provide an integration to that where you can get a better product from 8x8 plus the Microsoft Teams functionality too.
And I think that's the answer, right? That clearly, if you do have a voice requirement within your business, and let's face it, what businesses don't? Unless you're totally online,
right.
You have agents that answer customer calls. You have people that want to build relationships, and whether those relationships are voice or video, you need a partner that can enable that. And I see 8x8 as being ideally placed to that. Again, returning to the fact that you cover many different areas: contact center, video, messaging, file sharing, etc. You have the full suite of services and different types of licenses. But clearly, integration with Microsoft Teams is important because they do own the desktop and they have a big addressable market. The fact that you are tightly integrated, I think, is great for the market to understand. And just on that point, around this video on the 186Kloud page for this, there will be a resource that if you are interested to understand more about 8x8's products, specifically 8x8 or in relation to how they integrate with Microsoft Teams, they're available too, so you can download those and find out more. I think we're nearly getting there, towards the end of today's interview. It's been really useful, Sean. You've given us a really good understanding of 8x8 and where they could potentially take the business market, and understanding how you think the business market will change. But let's just finish on that question, because I'm always interested in the future of work. And we don't know what the answer is going to be. 18 months ago, we didn't know we're going to be here right now. Right now, we think the future is going to be hybrid, but is it? We don't know. So what I'd be really interested to understand from you, Sean, is what you think the future of work will look like. And be creative around this. If you've got a view about it, tell us. Because I'm often criticised for being a bit of a dreamer. So and saying I think it will look like this. But I think the future could be anything. Only last week I read about a paper about a university in the United States have actually invented teleportation. Teleportation, interesting topic. But they think the future internet is instant. Yeah, they're calling it the quantum internet. It is faster than the speed of light. Who said there's nothing faster than the speed of light? Well, these guys have actually invented the quantum internet, where they've invented the fact that two particles distanced 27 miles apart, if they change one, the other changes instantaneously. So they're basing the quantum internet on that. So anything is possible in the future. I want to hear about what Sean thinks the future of work will look like. Okay, be creative.
The future of work. I mean,
how will
you're absolutely right. It's who knows, but I'd like to think personally, I never thought I'd say this, but I miss the office. Maybe that's because of 8x8's culture or something, I don't know, but I do miss being in the office. I'd love to say that we're if you want, able to go back to the office and work hard, but be able to go for a few beers on a Thursday night. But honestly, I don't know. That would be amazing. Where I think it will happen, what I think will happen is there will be more choice. So that means business owners and directors and team leaders will be able to give people the choice of whether they want to work from home. I think that benefit people with kids, people with all the things that the people say, I've got to go to the office today. If you own a dog, all of a sudden you can be at home 2 days a week to give them a long walk, all these things. So it could actually, really increase people's quality of life, I think, by having the flexibility and the agility to work from home. And obviously 8x8 is allowing people to do that. I think in the next 12 months, in 2021, I think that is probably likely to happen. We'll have a staged sort of going back to the office. I think some businesses have announced that nobody's coming back until at least September. I don't know. I'd like to be back in town before that, but but honestly, I don't know. But I think long term, in 5 years' time, if we're not teleporting to the office, I think we'll probably be. I think we'll absolutely be fluid in our daily lives, in our working lives. I don't want there is a risk of your home life becoming the same as your work life. Like you finish work at 5:30, 6, whenever you finish work, put down tools and you sort of do the same thing, but on the sofa. Do you know what I mean? So there needs to be that differentiation. But what I do know is that things won't be the same, and everyone will have a lot more flexibility in their daily lives. And Elon Musk might be president of the world by then. Who knows?
He might be indeed. But I know why you want to return to the office. It's because your office is based in a great location. Aldgate, however it's pronounced, in London, and there's some great restaurants and bars around there. So you're keen to get back to that and start to enjoy eating out again. But who knows?
I do miss that. Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? You might be right. I think this more flexible way of working is going to be part of the future. You mentioned, working from home because you might want to spend a couple of days at home, looking after your dog. But given my example, using the quantum internet, maybe in the future you'll be able to teleport home at lunchtime just to take your dog for a walk. Who knows?
It's a great idea.
Yeah. Sean, it's been an absolute pleasure, privilege and honour to have you on the show today. We've learned a lot about 8x8 and we continue to do so, and we look forward to working with you in 2021 in the future of work. Thanks today for Sean, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks, Stephen. I'll see you soon.
Well, that is a wrap, and thank you for joining us on the 186Kloud show. It's been a privilege having your company. If you wish to be notified when we publish our next interview, just go to 186kloud.com/186Kloud-show and hit subscribe. We'll see you next time on the 186Kloud show, where the vendors meet the community.